Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Observer of Football podcast. And my oh my, do we have a special episode for you here today? Not only do I have my brand new Versace Italian jersey, but I'm also joined here with legendary figures in our Ontario soccer community, Master of Excellence coach Mo and Ollie Clark. How are you guys doing today, gentlemen?
Oh well. How about you?
I am doing well. And I have to say that I have been very looking forward to this podcast. I know we've been talking about this for a couple weeks now, but this is something that I'm really intrigued to hear your stories because when looking on the work you've done, there's I bet you a lot of insight and stories that you can share with our audience because again, the community here at soccer is thriving and growing and you are a shining example of that community.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, so I guess just for our audience, can you just either one of you kind of take it just to see who wants to go first? Tell me a little bit about yourself, your backstory, how you got into soccer in general.
Go for it, Mo.
For sure. I actually got into soccer a little late in my life. 11 years old is when I actually started playing soccer on a team. Um, and it was fun. It was my first time playing house league soccer. It was really cool, getting to practice and play. And then I was actually at a tournament, and this one coach from a rep team came up to me. He's like, "Hey, we're hosting tryouts in September. You should come out." And I'm like, "Wow, like what is this?" And I felt so special in that moment. I was like, "Wow, this is awesome." And I went to those tryouts and didn't make the best impression on them. I made it as a B practice player for that season, but halfway throughout the season, I actually managed to become a starter, which was awesome.
Wow.
Um, and then I did 3 more years at Rep Soccer, which was awesome. I got a chance to train and be coached under amazing coaches and trainers. And when I was my U15 year, I actually got cut from my rep team, and it was devastating. And I was so heartbroken in that moment. And my dad, he was talking to some people, and they were talking about this new league called CSL back then, which was the Canadian Soccer League. And that was like a introduction to semi-pro soccer for Canadians. So I was like, okay, cool. He's like, we should go out and see if you can make it there. And I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna make it. This they're looking for U21 players. Like I'm 14, 15 years old. Like this is gonna be insane. And he just kind of pushed me. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's try it. And luckily I made it. And I played 2 years in the CSL. And it was a really cool experience. I was the youngest player at that time to get signed to a CSL contract. And it was really, really, really exciting because CSL was actually FIFA sanctioned back then. So I got to sign FIFA contracts, and it was just the coolest experience ever. I trained with these Serbian coaches that didn't know any English. So there was a translator, there was the coaches would be yelling at us, and then the translator starts talking, and it was just such a wild experience. So I did that for a bit. And then I was pursuing for school. And being a Canadian and going through the process of like soccer, it was really difficult. I had no knowledge of, okay, well, what do I want to do? Is there soccer opportunities here if I stayed in Canada? Or should I go to the States and try to go D1, or should I try Europe? So I ended up talking to some of my friends that were in the same boat as me. And some of them are going D1, some of them are looking at European options. And I kind of had my head set at the European avenue. So I was talking to this one college in England, and I sent them my player tapes and everything. I did all my exams that I needed to do, um, and I was actually supposed to skip my grade 12 year and just start my first year of college for my grade 12 year, which was really, really awesome. I got a chance to go there, experience one season up in England, and it was a lot of training, a huge dynamic change. The coaching level there is nothing you'd ever believe. Even playing at that semi-pro level here, it was like playing maybe house league over there. It was crazy. The level of attention to what we're doing, how we're training, where we're playing, it was just insane. there wasn't a huge focus on academics at that college. It was mainly just for sports, which is really cool. And then I came back to Canada, and unfortunately, I was involved in a really bad car accident, and it messed up my back, my left leg. Um, I was almost pretty much paralyzed in my left leg. I couldn't move it much for about a year. Excruciating pain, concussion, like just the works. And that ended my playing career. Um, but my love for soccer just was always there. Having experienced what soccer could have been for me, I really pushed my little brothers to kind of now pursue soccer as well. And me and my little brothers, we have an 8-year difference. So it gave them a lot of time for me to kind of coach and talk them through the processes of, how to play, where to play, train them as well, which was really awesome. And I think that's how it kind of started for me to get into coaching and teaching. Seeing that I could take my brothers and train them, teach them, and you know make them really good soccer players. Both of them have played under Dwayne De Rosario as a coach. He took them to Dubai, he took them to Rome. They were entered in really, really good leagues. They played against TFC Academy. They've gone up against some of the biggest names out there today in Canadian soccer, and today they're still playing. They kind of took a little back seat, but it's really cool to see that. Um, so I started actually training players on the side very privately after my accident. After I recovered, it took about a year. I did rehab, trauma rehab, athletic rehab, osteopathy, acupuncture, like everything I could just to kind of get back to where I was. And unfortunately, it just never was the case. So then I focused on school. I focused on kind of developing players around me, guiding them, stuff like that, and making contacts. And that was kind of where my head was at. So I actually came back and went to school for mechanical engineering here. I studied that, and I worked the corporate job for a bit, and I realized I hated it. It's just definitely not for everybody, but I think my passion definitely is, developing players, developing athletes, and I have the ability to do that with the knowledge I've gained, and I'm learning every single day, and you know, we have a great group of people around me. My brothers, even my new partnership with Ollie, we're doing amazing things around Ontario for now, but it's going to go across Canada very soon.
Sure will.
That's amazing. And Mo, I gotta say, well, first off, thank you for that just overall encompassing view of your soccer journey. I gotta say, I'm low key jealous. That's everything I wanted to accomplish in my soccer career. But I'm so happy that you can, just you went to like the pinnacle levels, even going to England, playing for university side. That's no small feat. That's like a big thing, especially for Canadian soccer at that time. So, just hats off to you. And again, unfortunately, about the car accident, I hope your recovery has gone as best as it can. And even I went through, I actually broke my leg back in 2020, and I've had to go through some extensive physio. So totally get it. And I just, again, can't wait to hear more about your story and just how you're coaching the youth today. Because again, with your skill set, those youth and players you're training are going to be the very best. I can already tell.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
For the audience though, Mo, what position did you play?
So actually, like I said, I got to try out a bunch of different positions. So I actually started off as a center mid when I was playing house league. Then I dropped back into a defensive center back position. Then I did right back. And then when I switched teams again, I went up to a striker. And then I actually ended off in that center midfield position. So center midfield is where I love to play. It's probably my best favorite position. Um, but yeah,
Let me guess. Box to box.
box to box, yes, sir.
Hey, there you go. It's kind of funny you kind of mentioned
All the
that.
way.
I don't know if you ever heard of a player called Casemiro. Like he's a Man United, Real Madrid. Fun little story about him is that when he actually went to go try out for his professional team, he was naturally a striker initially, but he ended up playing for a CDM or CM role because he knew that he had a better chance of making the team that way. So when you're
Yeah.
explaining that story, I'm thinking like, hey, Mo's like Casemiro.
I appreciate
So
that.
yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, sweet. I'm glad that we have a midfielder amongst our ranks who can play all positions. So I don't know if you ever played Football Manager, but you would have greens all over the pitch. So, and then certainly but not least, Mr. Ollie Clark.
Hey, yeah, it's been a ride for sure. It's been a really, really crazy ride because I thought I was going to go pro as well. It was going to be this whole thing where, I had my parents just supporting me constantly ever since I was God, 6 years old. I was playing soccer and I got into competitive around 9 years old, just going, working as hard as I could, making all my friends, pretty much basing my whole life off of soccer. Like that was how it was for me. Before you ask, I was right wing for basically my whole life.
That doesn't surprise me.
So yeah, okay. Do I have that right wing energy?
You do. You have like an attacker energy that I can see, that I can
I'll
tell.
take it. Yeah, the unfortunate thing for me though is that I always had these like little details of unfortunate occurrences with one of my legs is actually like an inch longer than the other. I had hip flexor issues my whole life. I had lots of sports induced asthma, so it was very, very difficult for me to kind of keep up with the other players in the way, right? So I would basically focus my time on how I would do 1v1 situations, right? So that was like my biggest focus when it came to soccer and my growth and my development in soccer. I always loved the 1v1 situations. So that got me into, the Neymar, Ronaldinho type footwork and all of that. And I kind of noticed around when I was getting to 14 or 15 years old that I loved the warm up way more than the actual game of soccer, which is interesting. It's very interesting because everyone used to hate the warm up. They would do their dynamics and they would just play long ball with someone before the match actually started. But then there was me in the corner of the field just doing all this juggling, right? Just trying to beat my record every single time. And the only freestyle trick I knew was like around the world and stuff. So I would just go for it, see how many I can get in one series of juggling. And then this is where the whole dilemma came. I went home one day from a soccer match. I don't know if we won or lost. I did not care as much, right? So I just had fun, did my thing, and then I went home. And this was at the age of 15. I was, watching some freestyle tutorials on YouTube just for like the around the world and beating your juggling record, all of the typical stuff. And then, as we do, we go down this whole rabbit hole, right? We go down this rabbit hole of this content that we're consuming. And it led me into Sean Garnier, a video of Sean Garnier from France, right? And he was doing this, it was this compilation of him, right? He was doing these like performances and he had all these people surrounded around him and he was doing, the pana stuff, nutmegging people. And, through this rabbit hole that I went down, I noticed that there was one video of him and where he was on a stage and there was another person on the stage. And in the bottom right corner, there was a clock counting down from 3 minutes. And I was thinking, what is this clock? I mean, I don't think when people do performances, there's like a clock, right? So I had to do my research, right? So I was just Googling all of these things, looking at all these videos. And then I noticed that this was a freestyle battle. It completely just changed my whole outlook on freestyle. I thought it was just this, fun additive that you can do with an around the world or two, right? To soccer. But oh my goodness, was this ever a big rabbit hole I went down? I must have stayed up the whole night because I was watching all of these different freestylers and they were in battle against each other. There was attitude, there was creativity, there was legit gymnastics happening with the ball, which was just the most sorcery and magic that I've ever seen in a video because uh, that was like the newest opening, the newest door that just opened in my life. I wasn't really, really liking my journey with soccer because of, just the little unfortunate circumstances. And I was like, wow, well, this seems a little bit more for me, right? So I started, taking inspiration from some of these people, and I started in my mom's basement, like a lot of people do, right? I started in my mom's basement. I started doing some of these skills and prioritizing the movements of the body and trying my best to make it as contemporary and artistic as possible, moving around with this ball, playing my favorite songs, and seeing how I can work the ball into this choreography that I would make for myself at the age of 15, right? I'll never forget those days because it was to the point where I didn't even want to go to those practices anymore. The only thing that would bring me to those practices was to show my skills to my friends, right? Because they saw that I was getting better and better and better. And it was about 2 months in where I met my first ever freestyle friend online Instagram. His name is Victor. And I went out, and after all those months, and I actually met him, having my first ever freestyle session with someone. It was magical to me because I lived in, this was in Kingston, actually. I lived in Kingston, and there was no other freestyler there whatsoever. So I was so happy to have gone, to the Toronto area, go to Waterloo, and have my first ever freestyle meet. This is where this guy tells me that there is an actual Canadian freestyle soccer championship, right? So when I heard this, I was like, no way. I actually get to go on stage and be like Sean Garnier, like the guy I watched. I get to, compete and battle someone. That was brilliant. So, a little bit of time flashes forward. I'm about a year into freestyle, and I'm on this stage, battling that at the time the current Canadian champion. It
Wow.
was, yeah, his name is Magnet, right? Jamie Bruno, and I was scared, I'll tell you that. But I put in some cool tricks that I had been working on, and ended up in the competition coming 16th in Canada. There were probably about 25 people there, but I right when I went to that first competition, I was thinking, okay, this is what I really want to do for the rest of my life. So I made I bit my lip and I quit soccer. Still love it to this day, though. I love, all the teammates that I had, but I got working. I was working every single day. I was practicing for probably about 5 or 6 hours a day because I was just in high school, So I'd come home 5 or 6 hours a day. I would train, go to bed, do the same thing tomorrow, and COVID hit. So it was actually, for a lot of people, it was horrible, but for me, it was the best opportunity to just keep practicing, keep practicing. And 2022 came where I went to the next Canadian championship because all the, 2020 and 2021, they were canceled due to COVID. 2022, I had worked so hard, all of this 5, 6 hours a day, to the point in where I actually came second in Canada. And that was so surprising for me. It was at the age of 17. I didn't even realize I could do that well, right? But next year, second again. Get extremely, extremely terrified. Will I ever become first? Will I ever win the championship and do what my dream always was? And 2024 comes this year. It was July, and I finally took the Canadian Championship. So I'm extremely excited about that. And ever since then, I started working in all of these events. I've been doing work for Nike, Adidas. I did some stuff with Messi's new hydration drink, Moss Plus. I've done stuff with Toronto FC, Sports Check. You can just name it, and I've probably done it. It's been such a journey so far, and I'm so happy I made that switch at the age of 15.
You- I'm like, again, with both your stories, I'm speechless. But one of the things that really resonates with your story, though, Ollie, is like for me growing up, like one of the main like players I watched was Ronaldinho, and
Mhm.
just watching him on the ball was like watching art. And
Yeah.
when you describe like your freestyling journey, just about how you even got into like where you are now, winning the freestyling, like being Canadian champion essentially, like right now, it's it's not just a beautiful game, it's art. And your art is so special because not only do you have to like master all those abilities and tricks with the ball, you also got to incorporate other aspects into the choreography for it, the timing, all that goes into it. So that like really speaks to me. And this like when you're telling your story, I just think of the beautiful game and the art that comes along with it. And I think that just goes along to your creativity and just how you can do so much with a soccer ball.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. My story, it makes me feel so much more in touch with the life I've always wanted to have every single time I tell it. So I really appreciate being on here, because every single time I go into a training session, I always have to think about what my movements are going to be, but especially how I'm feeling when I go into that, because I feel like the true art comes from emotion, right? So when I step into that training session, I always make sure that my movements are accurate to how I'm feeling in that specific time of my life.
And not only like that's a huge part too, but it also incorporates not only your body, you have to like express that emotion, you also have that ball as well. So that
Mhm.
ball it basically becomes a part of you and it's
Yeah,
part of your body. So
my
just
best friend.
absolutely. And again, like just it's just super amazing. Like, I've like had experiences watching, like, we talked about it before in the podcast here, but F2, even Gagne, just getting to experience that side of the game and just seeing how you're able to flourish and look where you are now. Like, who would have thought when you're like that young, you're thinking, wow, I'm Canadian champion of Canada and I have all these experiences, get to work with the best of the best. Like, who would have thought, right?
I know it's just a dream, but now I've worked as hard as it took to come make it come true. So I'm happy about that.
Well, definitely well deserved. And, when I was talking with Trick Zaffa and Dennis Thompson, I like to ask them this question, but what was the hardest trick that you had to learn? Like, what was the one that took the longest?
Oh my goodness. That is I have the answer in my head right away. It is the palette around the world, which is 3 times around the ball in one touch. So it's on my Instagram. It is probably the most emotion I've ever felt. I couldn't keep it in the video, but I did start crying after I was bawling my eyes out because that took me 5 years to land. And after trying constantly all the time, I there are so many freestylers that I always have these conversations of just landing their first 3 revolution trick. It's basically around the world, but doing 2 more revolutions, right? So with one leg, it's so much pain on the knees, the hip flexor, your ankles, everything, but it is so worth it once you land it. You just feel like $1 million.
I my knees. I'm sitting down and my knees are hurting just trying to think about doing that trick because I could never in a million 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 years do that trick. But absolutely, I know that's really interesting because I know Dennis was saying his was the sombrero flick.
Oh, the sombrero.
Yeah,
Okay.
apparently he said that took the longest time because he said he was just going through the motions and he actually wasn't processing it. But
Yeah.
I love that. I love that how you experienced that. And I gotta ask, and a little bit off topic here. Are both you anime fans at all?
Oh no.
No, okay, because like if you ever watch Naruto, I don't know, Mo, I'm looking at you. You have a little bit of smile on your face, but
Who's
the
the big guy?
but like when Naruto finally learned the Rasengan after like 30 or 40 episodes, that's when you're describing how it took you 5 years. His experience
Yeah,
like mastering that skill just kind of reminded me of that. So sorry about the
that's
tangent.
fair.
I love anime, so my apologies.
Oh, that's
but
That's
good.
fair.
but
No,
yeah,
no, that's completely fair. There are so many people that can relate in different types of arts, right? So I love hearing about the success stories of some of those people that landed their metaphorical palette around the world, right? So it's cool to hear from other perspectives.
absolutely. And just kind of speaking to that, so Mo, like you have the technical side, you went to like play university ball, you have like a lot of this experience here. And then Ollie, you have this amazing freestyle experience. You have abilities that not even normal soccer players have. Now you guys combined forces. Now you're training the next generation coming up and players currently. Can you kind of explain just about how you're going about that coaching and just what training program are you developing for these players to incorporate best of both worlds here?
So I think I have to go to the beginning for me, actually, a little bit more. So the most impactful training development programs I've been a part of were Brazilian soccer school. Lots of movements, lots of style, lots of flair, and the groundwork was just amazing. I learned so many cool moves off there. And we're talking about F2 and Sean. I don't know how to say his Sean.
Say on Garnier. Yeah.
Sean Garnier. Sorry, sorry,
Yeah.
Sean. But he came down to Kitchener for a performance, which is about 10 minutes away from me. So I got to be up close and live watching him kind of compete, similar to what Ollie kind of witnessed online. I got to see it in person. The F2 freestylers, my dad was working with this one coach and trainer at the time, and we actually were like grateful enough to actually have the F2 come down to Cambridge, and I got to train under them. My brothers got to train under them. It was really cool. We held camps with them. Those were the biggest impactful moments in my soccer development, combining freestyle and soccer, because players like you said, Ronaldinho, it's an art form, but it's an art because not only can they pull off the moves, but they're so confident. They're so passionate about it. And that's what's missing from conventional soccer. It's too static. It's too pass, move, pass, move, pass, move. There's no flair. There's no fun. There's no excitement in soccer. I find Canadian soccer.
It's
And,
funny that,
and
oh, sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, and the one thing I was just gonna say, sorry, Ollie, I'll let you speak here, but the one thing you're talking about, they're static, and the one thing I always looked at was La Masia from Barcelona as a prime example, and their main thing was getting comfortable in the ball. Like anytime I watch any of their practices, any of their drills, these players are like, let's say, juggling the ball all the way to like the half the field and back, and the ball never touches the ground. It's being
Exactly.
comfortable with that ball, and it's an extension of yourself. And again, like you're kind of saying, hey, for me, I played like even university ball here, there was not much focus on like a lot of the dribbling and touch aspect here and getting comfortable with the ball. It was more or less just again the static movements, which are absolutely right. So again,
Exactly.
sorry, Ollie Fuller mentioned for cutting off there, but you can mention your
No,
point.
it's all good. I completely relate to what you guys are saying. It's so true. I feel like I feel like my finding of freestyle is so pivotal in all of this. It's so important because of the fact that before the age of 15, when I was playing all of this, almost 10 years of soccer before the age of 15, I never had that much love for the actual ball itself, right? I had love for the game. I had love for my friends that I was playing it with, right? That's why I stayed in soccer because, my parents wanted to see me try to score a goal every time as well, right? I had those types of loves, but it was to the point where when I went back home after all of those games, it was never really like any love for the actual ball or the skills or anything like that, right? It was so important to me to pass and shoot and score, and that was fun and all, but I feel like what I want the next generation to fall in love with, just like what I did, was the actual like connection you have with the ball, right? The skills that you can perform, and the precision that you can build by yourself with that creative expression, something that you don't need to show up to all of these practices to actually achieve, right? Since you're weaving through all these cones all the time in the practices, I want the next generation to make sure that they can develop some of their skills while they're at home, just them and the ball, right?
And you're absolutely right. And I think this was one of the topics I kind of wanted to get into as well. And I think what both you are doing is truly amazing. And I think when this does go, you mentioned about going nationally and going to other provinces and doing and coaching youth and providing that mentorship there. I think this will be massive, not only for the youth, but also for the coaches here in the grassroots communities in all provinces. Like one of the big aspects I want to mention too is like, and why I really want to highlight your work is because like again I come from a background of like hockey. Like my family was all about hockey. Played from since I was 3. Got into playing soccer when I was 15. Friends needed a goalie. They stuck me in that. Basically went from there and kind of got where I am today. Now, one of the biggest things I've noticed in differences is that when you have coaches at the grassroots level, at hockey level, they have a lot of high level players who are at that grassroots level training the youth going up that way. And I feel like that's what's helping elevate a lot of those players. Because again, statistically, there's a lot more kids playing soccer in Canada than hockey players. Now, again, I think one of the things is that we're lacking a lot of the grassroots coaches who don't know the fundamental abilities here of soccer. That's why I
Mm.
feel like when you're talking about what you're talking about now, I don't think there's that knowledge across all provinces. Like sometimes they just put like a parent who's never played soccer in their life and they're coaching these kids how to play.
It's always
So
apparent.
yeah, I know. And And that's the thing that I think we're really missing here. And I know we're just starting to like, get there where we're starting to build our expertise. But I really want to emphasize that like once like I feel like even if he has like have like a program for all coaches to follow, that will hit a lot and that'll be a big impact in the community. And I guarantee you'll see a lot more of a development and more players going outside of like no professional level from our youth players here. So I think that's one of the, at least one area I kind of observed, and one area I think we're maybe lacking, at least at the grassroots level. I don't know if you have any input on that. Obviously, you're the experts, but I'd like to hear your opinion.
What do you
Yeah.
think, Mo?
Yeah, so before I actually got into like training, I actually used to do technical training for clubs and academies across GTA. And it was really good. It was a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. But what it came down to, honestly, was credentials. You could be the best soccer player in the world, but if you didn't have that A license, B license, or technical director license, they're not looking at you. They don't think you know anything. And it's crazy. You're 100% correct. Yes, parents are who have never played soccer, maybe, are coaching teams, which, okay, isn't horrible, but there's also no actual program guidebook on how to help develop kids. It's very linear across the board. Canada Soccer does a very good job at, at keeping their development programs very linear, very step by step by step. Learn how to pass, learn how to do this, and there's such basic and kind of useless drills, in my opinion, that I've seen. Um, for me, I kind of went away from academies and those high level clubs, and I want to focus on developing smaller clubs in smaller areas because in the GTA, yeah, they get all the recognition there, 100%. But somewhere where I'm from, I'm in Cambridge, Ontario, there's not that much recognition for clubs or academies here. So I joined forces with this local club here, and I'm actually working as their technical advisor. So I help them with all of their technical programs across the board. Um, I help assist coaches in developing their development programs. I assist in doing some of the team trainings, as well as this year, I've actually taken on two personal teams to coach myself. So, you know, me going through the process of now getting these certifications and learning about what Canada Soccer wants a coach to know, it's kind of confusing. And no hate to Canada Soccer at all, but it just seems like a money grab. Every single course seems like a money grab. They're all a repetition of the last one. And there's no real focus on actual soccer. It's just, okay, are you ethically right? Okay, cool. This is how we want to train soccer. This is how, we should do things. Oh, there's a lot of ethics in soccer and with the certifications, and it doesn't make sense to me at all because that's not how I saw soccer. So actually seeing the other side of soccer is like mind blowing to me.
And I don't know if you want to say an opinion, but like for what you're saying from like what I'm hearing from this is like every like our journeys are all different. Like Ollie, you said your journey about how you got into where you're currently today. Same thing with you, Mo. And not everything has to be linear. Like everyone's journey and how they learn and how they develop their skills is different. And I think one of the things that maybe is a little bit lacking is, again, I think it's just that empowerment of the players and actually just how they develop, right? Because like players should be encouraged to take on chances, put in the work to learn new skills, to develop their game the way they want to as well. Obviously with guidance and coaching that way too. But if you just coach them the linear tactics and just that linear trainings, sometimes they're kind of put in a box and and a lot of the game's about confidence, right? So when you don't have that empowerment, that confidence to do those skills or take those chances in games because you're maybe afraid of getting, let's say punished for it, that can be really detrimental to someone's development. We would like to thank Subtle Savagery for sponsoring the Observer Football podcast. Subtle Savagery is a local clothing brand here in Winnipeg, Manitoba that specializes in top quality clothing ranging from hoodies, t-shirts, sweatpants, hats, and many more different items. With limited edition drops coming on a regular basis, you can get yourself top quality designs that keep getting better and better. Now, if you visit subtlesavagery.com and sign up for the Insiders Club, you can be the first to buy the limited edition drops when they come out, And not only that, you can also get a 15% discount on those orders. Please be sure to visit subtlesavagery.com and order your next Subtle Savagery merch.
Yep, absolutely. I think the important thing to note from my perspective of things, because I am a freestyle coach, right? So it's all about ball control and whatnot, is that I will get a lot of people. I did Nike Sports Camp in the summer. I was one of the head skills coaches, and I got the question all the time saying, when will I use these skills in a game? When will I do this in a game? When am I going to balance it on my neck in a game? And that's the whole situation I like to bring up. It's because of the fact that when I am teaching these skills, I'm not expecting them to do this specific thing in a game, but what I'm doing is I'm almost unlocking their love for training on their own, for feeling that rewarding and confident type feeling with the ball, so that they feel almost one with the ball, right? I remember back in the days I was playing, I never felt like I was one with the ball, right? I'd be playing this competitive level like L3, and I was so scared that I was so scared that I was gonna get past the ball. Like that's how crazy it was, right? Because I never had that touch on it. I never had that confidence on it. All I knew how to do was weave through some cones and pass.
And I think that's absolutely right. And I guess that kind of brings up what you're kind of saying, Ollie, to another portion. Like, it's partially about unlocking those players' potentials, but not only you have to have the knowledge of like teaching them what you know and how they have that technical aspect and that creativity, but it's also how do you connect with those players? How do you get them motivated? Like again, to do that on their own, to take the initiative to learn new skills or learn new abilities on their own. Like, how did you find both of you like just trying to connect with the youth or the players you're coaching to help unlock their potential?
So for me, it was easy because I'm not too old right now. Well, at least I like to think I'm not too old. I'm only 27 years old. So when I first started out, I was even younger, and kids were very impressed with my playing background, my experience, and I think having someone who wasn't your mom or your dad kind of made it a lot easier to kind of connect with them. Um, and actually being able to back up everything that you're talking about by showing them as well, that was 100%, what really won them over. I think genuinely speaking is, youth kids today especially, they don't want to be talked down to. They don't want to be necessarily coached by a coach, like a hard coach like that, but they want to be friends with your coach. They want to have a good time with their coach. They want to be inspired by their coach, and that's the biggest factor we're missing here, is that inspiration from coaches to kind of keep kids pursuing their dream or passion. I was lucky to have really, really good coaches, and you know a lot of players out there don't have access to good coaching, and it definitely is unfortunate. My dad was a very good coach for me too. My dad actually, he was a boxer. He was a two-time Golden Glove boxing champ in this area. So, he was a really athletic guy himself. He kind of forced all of my siblings to go into athletics. Both my sisters played sports as well. My eldest sister, she was a track star, 200-meter sprinter, and she held the record in Guelph for I think a few years. My other sister was a basketball player. Me, I kind of played basketball and soccer, but focused on soccer. My brothers, they played everything: volleyball, basketball, soccer. So my dad was definitely a big push and the best coach for me. And even today, he's so supportive of me coaching. And I still go to him and I say, how do I go about this? And he teaches me every step of the way. So I definitely got to give big credit to him.
And that, well, first off, athletics definitely runs in your family and top level genetics based on like how your family tree has gone so far. So, geez, that leaves me speechless there. I actually have a fun little story to kind of connect with what you were saying there too, Mo. I actually had Valor FC captain Raphael Owen on the podcast, And he was also telling me about his story where he's also coaching the locals here in Winnipeg. And one of the biggest things is whether he was playing this either the amateur level here or even for Valor, he would always invite the kids out to the games where he was playing, and then he would give them the kids like I think a skill moves like numbers 1 to 5, and then the kids would be up close, whether it be front row or at the fence or the field, and the players would yell out number 4, do skill move number 4, and then he would go out and intentionally do that skill move they selected, and he would pull it off, and then the kids would just lose their mind. And then
Oh, that's
basically,
awesome.
and then what happened was when those kids went to play their games, Rafa go watch their games and says, "Do skill move number 3," and then the kids would try and do that and take the players on. And when they did it, it was a whole big thing, and it was a whole rewarding aspect to that mentorship for them, and it really helped Raphael connect with those players as well. So that was kind of what you're talking about. Raphael mentioned to me that story, and it just really resonated with me about that.
Oh yeah. No, that's awesome. I might have to take a page out of his book because that's actually really cool. I love that.
Yeah, no, and he's definitely a great player not only a great player but a great person to know, because and he's definitely, if you ever see a Canadian Premier League game, check out Valor
Yeah.
because he's playing. So gotta say that.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
So I guess just kind of with what I want to talk about too is just like, I know we kind of mentioned you want to take your partnership and collaboration here with coaching and mentorship nationally. What's the ultimate goal of your partnership here?
So I think the ultimate goal with our partnership, Ollie and I, is to keep providing opportunities and keep providing pathways, whether it is mainstream soccer or it is professional freestyling. Soccer is growing in so many ways that, soccer could be quite literally, yeah, freestyling, or it could be, soccer tennis, or there's that new one. Oh, what was it called, Ollie?
A tech ball.
Tech ball, that
Yeah.
one. Like, there's so many avenues now with soccer. For a while, Mississauga was having a professional arena soccer team, which they were literally playing in a hockey rink, and it was insane. Like, the amount of opportunities is nuts. But me and Ollie, I think our goal today is to bring back creativity in soccer, give professional level training, not be a money grab,
Yeah.
and you know give so much more opportunity for players to excel in anything they want to do, whether it's on the field or off the field, because a big component for me as a coach too is how are you as a person, you know so I want to develop my players to be good people as well, the next generation of leaders, the next generation of coaches, the next generation of players, whatever it is. I make all my players do mandatory volunteer work. I make them do community cleanups. I make them assist with Christmas toy drives, food drives. I get them involved in the community because it's the community that is going to do so much for you. So you have to do your part for the community as well. And we were grateful enough to get recognized by various MPs, the mayor of Brampton, several other MPPs. It was definitely such a really cool experience having getting recognition from that, and the kids loved it. And now today, on their own, they're sending me Snapchats. Oh, I'm doing a community pickup with my friends. They just take garbage bags and they're cleaning up their local soccer field, or they're collecting cans for their donation. And I love it. It's amazing. And I'm glad that some of these opportunities I'm giving to them, they're now doing in their real life. It's absolutely amazing.
I
Real,
think something to touch on with that, sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you, it's confidence, right? Because there are so many different ways to teach confidence, and it doesn't, it especially doesn't need to be in the actual linear game of soccer, right? About how they learn it, right? Confidence can come through all of those examples that Mo just gave, with doing things for the world, doing things for society, right? And the public, going to those drives, doing the Christmas toy drives. So many of that is important to learn about how to be a good person, but most importantly, how to be a good and confident person, right? And that can reflect how you are on the ball, right? Everything that you do in the life outside of the pitch, it can all affect how you can do stuff on the pitch, right? So that's why I think freestyle is a very good invitation to these people to gather that confidence because like I said, I hear this all the time. I'm never going to be able to do this trick, or how could you even do this in a game? I'm never going to be able to do this. It looks so hard. It looks way too hard. But I feel like the most important part is getting like over that mental barrier and where you can actually do this trick. It might not be something you're going to do in a game, obviously, right? But once you do that, that is what gives you the confidence to say, hey, I actually built myself up together and I actually did something that I never thought I was going to do, right? And that confident, that is what Mo and I bring to the table here with these clinics. That is what's going to reflect their fire and their flair on the field.
It's
Oh
kind.
yeah, sorry, I don't
Oh
want
no,
to
it's
cut
okay.
you.
No,
I
it's all
just
good.
want to add one more thing. Like right now, I'm hosting a ball mastery clinic. Um, and a big component of my ball mastery clinic is yes, definitely groundwork, but there's a big freestyle component to it. And Ollie has done an amazing job at creating that kind of course for me, to kind of teach the kids. And like at first the kids didn't understand why they were doing it, but like today we're now in week 5 out of a 12-week program, and the kids are loving it. Like they're coming before class, hey, look what I can do. And before they were scared to even just attempt to juggle a ball. Like the what we do bring, and 100% Ollie said it perfectly, confidence. And that's the only thing that I try to teach the kids: confidence on the ball, confidence as a person, the ability for you to step on the field confidently and do whatever you want on the field and leave happily. You know what I mean? And Ollie does an amazing job at really promoting that. And I do my best to kind of keep pushing that momentum with it as well.
It really sounds
Absolutely.
like you're. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, no, I said absolutely. I'm just agreeing. That's
Oh,
amazing. It's
okay.
great.
No, and I really like that idea of confidence as well, because not only are you doing it on the pitch, you're also doing off the pitch. So it's really building life skills just in general that will help elevate all aspects of life. I love to hear that. And I love to see that you're going about that aspect as well. And I just wanted to clarify too, are you coaching from all ages, or is there a specific demographic that you're coaching?
So the club that I coach at, it's called Puss Lynch Minor Soccer Club. They're not the biggest club. I think we have maybe 8 competitive teams, ranging from I think U10 to U16. Um, and then we have our house league programs and stuff. Um, Prior in the past, I was doing all age groups, U8 all the way up to uh, U18 at that time. This year I've kind of taken a step back from doing the younger kids, and focus more on the development and pathway opportunities for the older kids. Um, so now I'm doing more of the older kids, but the two teams I'm coaching personally this year is a U14 boys team and a U16 boys team. And it's a team that I kind of handpicked and selected based off of the players I've trained and coached. And I'm hoping that they're gonna really show up this year and show them what Mo FC can do.
That's awesome. And one of the things I actually is really interested in kind of talking about, and why I wanted to say about kind of getting where you're focusing on right now with where you're coaching, is the pathways. From what I've heard earlier on the podcast, both of you are trailblazers in a lot of senses, right? There wasn't already a groundwork built up for you to follow. You had to go on your own journey, like especially with Ollie and you, Mo. Like you had to even went to England. You had to even just practice for hours just on your own. You just getting opportunities and building it out that way. So I'd be very interested to hear, like, as those who've, carved out your own path, figuring out how you got to where you are. How do you relate those type of pathways now, laying the groundwork for those future generations here?
It is hard. I think definitely talking about my experience is probably the easiest icebreaker to kind of go about it. Um, Ultimately, though, the pathways that I provide are so, for example, right now, me and Ollie just secured a pathway program in Portugal. So we can send kids to Portugal. They can stay there on camp at a club, and they get trained by a professional coach. They get the exposure, the experience. They get to learn under a coach for a week or 2 weeks. Um, the other opportunity we have is in Uruguay for professional trials, or college or universities in Canada and US sending players to just even practice with clubs or teams or colleges and universities today. It is hard to kind of do that, but I think the best way I can put it is I I can give you the opportunity. The opportunity is there on a plate. It's up to you to see the opportunity and take it. The one thing I tell my kids is take advantage of me. Take advantage of my knowledge. Take advantage of my expertise. Take advantage of my skill. Take advantage of Ollie. Take advantage of my brothers. We're all high level athletes. We all have something to give you. So take advantage of us. Learn from us. It honestly comes down to them. And today I find myself having to almost sometimes bribe kids. Maybe bribe's not the right word. Incentivize could be a better word. Where I go, all right, $20, whoever can do around the world. Okay, $5 for whoever can do a next stall, whatever. And I even did that at one of the freestyle camps that we hosted over the summer, me and Ollie, just to kind of incentivize some of these kids to want it more. But it's a shame when I was younger, I didn't need someone to dangle some cash in my face or say, do this, and you get that out of it. I did it for myself. I did it because I want to get better. I want to be the best I could be. And I want to show off a little bit too.
The way you completely encapsulated my whole answer to that question is brilliant.
Oh,
I was basically going to say exactly all of that. That's perfect. Yeah, no, I definitely think it's important to, allow them that sense of personality as they develop, right? It's not just like they're a number. It's not like they're just a random player that we're picking up from, just a random parent's phone call to say, hey, can you join this? No, we see them as people too, right? No matter what their age is, we see them as people too. And that's the most important part of what we do, right? Trying to allow them to feel like they are at home with what we do, right? So that they can learn from us as much as they can, so that they're confident not only on the ball, but confident enough to ask us the questions that are essential for their development, right?
And I love to hear, like, that's great answers for both. And both of you were talking to me about confidence, and I think that this whole thing just resumes confidence, like having the resources there for the for the youth players or just for the students. It's up to them to take whatever path they want to go, laying multiple paths and having them take that confidence to take which path they want to go pursue. So I think again, all I'm hearing is this empowering the players, empowering the youth players to utilize what resources they want and also choose what pathway they want to pursue, right? There's multiple parts in soccer. So I love to see that, and that's great to hear. And I gotta say, I wish I was one of your students, because the amount of resources you have, I had nothing growing up. We had nothing. I had maybe University of Winnipeg to look forward to. That's all I had.
Right.
So
Oh,
that
it was rough. It was rough back in the day. There's so many opportunities now. In my opinion, it's if you're a good soccer player and you want it bad enough, I'd say it's almost impossible not to land in CPL today. It's almost impossible not to be a professional player today in Canada. There's so many resources, there's so many pathways.
This podcast is brought to you by Ike Sportswear. Ike Sportswear is a local sportswear brand here in Winnipeg that specializes in soccer and basketball sportswear. Now, if you're looking for any jerseys that are club or international level at a cheap price, Ike Sportswear has got you covered. Recently, I ordered a Netherlands Van Nistelrooy jersey for the low price of $60. And I must say, when compared to the official branding from the Dutch international team, you can't go wrong, because Ike Sportswear has got you covered with affordable prices and quality jerseys. So what are you waiting for here today? Visit Ike Sportswear's Instagram page, where you can message them directly for the jerseys you want, or you can also text them at the number on the screen. So, gentlemen, I have not only been, I learned a lot so far just in this last little bit here. And I probably have to say, I really wish I wasn't born in 1995, because I wish I was born in the generation where I could be taught by you two. Because I feel like I could be a professional goalkeeper by now, living up to my dreams of being the next Gigi Buffon. First off, that's how I got into soccer. That's my GOAT. Love him. Got to see him play. Just saying. That's
Same here.
that. Oh, you did.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, such an amazing goalie. I loved him. He is so good.
Big career.
I know, I know. I wouldn't say he's top of all time. I have to say this is controversial. I think Emmanuel Neuer is the greatest of all time, just
Yeah, that's fair.
overall. But you know, I do place him top three. That's just my opinion. Me being a realistic, non-biased fan. So now, gentlemen, earlier on, you gave some. We have different directions of how lifestyles, how you guys have pursued your career here in football or soccer. One went to England, for example. One has pursued not only a journey through freestyle, but also gone through the whole Canadian championship scene. It's even current Canadian champion. Now, for the listeners, there has to be some fun stories, whether it be about how you went up against your idols or even going over to England, playing against the best of the best there and having some banter. Do you guys have any type of stories you can share with us that are kind of, some fun ones you remember?
You want to go first, Mo?
Oh, you first, Ollie. I've
All
been
right.
taking.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that not only a dream come true for me was winning the Canadian championships. That was very, very big in my life. But that uh, that first competition I had ever watched in my life of freestyle was something called Super Ball. Now, don't get it confused with Super Bowl. That's American football, but Super Ball is a competition, a World Open Championship that happens every year in Prague, Czech Republic. Now, I have never been to Europe before this year, but after this whole career of 5.5 years, I've finally gone to Prague, Czech Republic, and that was the craziest experience I think I've ever had when it comes to freestyle because usually with these competitions here in North America, it's not as big as it is when it comes to Europe, right? Because Europe, South America, Asia, it's actually way, way bigger. So just to be able to go to the place where there's, almost 1,000 freestylers, just so many people that share the same love for freestyle as I do for a whole 10 days. Holy, it was like everyone going to Disneyland. Like, this is how it felt for me. This was my Disneyland, right? So I go there, I fly out. It was this, big, big trip with two of my great friends, Victor and Nico. They are two freestylers from Canada. So flew out and holy, what a time it was. I met all of my idols, right? The idols that I have right now for me are Erland from Norway. He is just the goat. It's almost like you with Buffon, right? This is my goat of freestyle, and it's pretty much everyone's goat when it comes to freestyle because he is 10-time world champion of freestyle. It is just insane to be in the presence of someone this godly, right? So doing that was just brilliant, and being on that world stage, being on this live stream that I had been watching for 5 years in a row, that was almost like the mom I made it type thing, right? That was quite the moment for me, and where I could be experiencing not only being on the stage but watching these amazing matchups of these battles in person in the front row seat, just watching these crazy tricks never seen before. These freestylers would keep them as a secret, and they'd wait until they got to the semifinals or the finals of the tournament to just pull off the craziest stuff that you have ever seen. Seeing that in person, I think it woke me up as an actual person, right? I had been so enclosed in my shell of just, okay, I have to work hard, okay, I have to do this, make sure I make it in freestyle. But going for this 10-day vacation and where I could just talk to any freestyler from around the world in person, I can train with them, I can battle against them. Doing that had really woken me up, and it gave me that confidence. And I knew that after journaling all of the conversations I had, really networking and asking all of the questions I've wanted to ask these people, I knew that the second I arrived back in Toronto for my flight home, that I would get to work having this whole new mindset, the mindset in where I have to find the fun fun and the positivity in what I do, rather than making it feel like a chore because I'm already in so deep, the Canadian champion. I don't want to make it feel like a job for me, right? Because I know that there are so many soccer players out there in the younger generations that see what I do and they're thinking, how could he ever feel like this is work? This is the coolest thing ever. A freestyler, a professional. I want to think as the perspective that people see of me, right? I want to feel like I'm seemed, if that makes sense, right? That is the most important thing for me, feeling very alive and positive with what I do. And that trip to Prague, Czech Republic, it really, really made me feel, appreciative of where I am and appreciative of where I'm going to go in my life.
It's one of those things, right? You see it on TV, you see it on like the videos. You put all that hard work in your basement, just overall, and it's like, yeah, again, you made it. You actually kind of get to smell the roses a bit. You're like, all this work, all this effort I put in, I've made it, right? But then it's also aspect too where you're talking about how do I elevate my game to the next level, right? The world stage. And I'm kind of curious to know, like, you're obviously Canadian champion.
Yes.
How is that next step for the world stage? How do you notice
Well,
that comparison?
the comparison of kind of the competition that I have against the rest of the world rather than the Canadians.
Yeah.
It is crazy. It's tough because some of these people have been going for, I've been only going for almost 6 years now. There are some of the people out there that have started at like, 9 or 10 years old, and they're only, 26, and they've been going for 15, 16 years, which is just crazy to me to see all this experience in such a young person still, right? So I think that's the difficult part, how exposed it is in those parts of the world, so that these people are just starting at younger and younger ages. I started at 15. I thought that was young, but seeing these people at these younger ages being like so good, these crazy levels at the age of like 17 or 18, it's just wicked to me. So I think that where I stand right now in like in that competition, I came approximately 70th. So I know I made the top 100, which was great. That was a goal of mine, making it to that elimination round. And I think that the most important thing for me is not to doubt myself when it comes to the lack of experience I have, or the tricks I have currently, or the fact that Canada is not really a freestyle or soccer sport, right? I can't have those doubts, because I think the thing that will step me up, and get there faster than a lot of these freestylers is the creativity and the mindset, right? There are so many freestylers out there that have been going for 10 or 11 years, and they just haven't unlocked that specific mindset that I feel like I'm starting to possess, right? Obtain. And it results in me beating them. It results in me winning and getting that satisfaction from creating those better tricks, right? So I feel like it's a matter of time until I can create better tricks than the people that are in first or second, right? I just have to think really, really hard, and then I have to put in that work to the tricks that just make sense for me, right? There's no linear way of improving, because you are your own coach with freestyle, right? There's no coaches, right? I am responsible for going down to, I have a squash court in my condo building. I am so responsible for going down the elevator and going to that place, or in the summer going out to a beautiful place in Toronto like Nathan Phillips Square, and just focusing and fixating on what I need to do in order to get there. It's this big, big step, but I'm so confident, and the experiences I'm getting, like what I was at with Prague, Czech Republic, that is really inspiring me and allowing me to see that amount of space that I have to work towards,
Not only not only are you an athlete, Ollie, you're also an artist. That's when I see your work, when I've seen it and what you're talking about now, it's how you are continuing to develop your art and being able to share it with the world, and also keep bettering yourself too, right? And when you went to Prague, I'm assuming you got to see different cultures, different interpretations of how they did their freestyle. So then you're
Hmm.
incorporating all of that aspect too into it, right? So
Yep.
I'm very excited to see the progression in your art going forward. And trust me, I'm gonna be a big fan of yours. And I just got to know you the last couple weeks. You have another fan. I'm definitely gonna follow you throughout your journey, and I can't
Thank
wait to
you.
see what you do with your art. And again, thank you so much for that experience. And again, that is something that we need more of here in Canada, is more of the freestyling and expanding that art. Because again,
It means a lot to me. I think that my main goal is not only to bring out the confidence in some of these younger athletes, but also bring out the culture in what is true football, right?
absolutely, and that's the thing too that we need to bring out, because Canada has a rich culture not only in soccer but just in general too. So I'd love to hear that. Now, Mo, on to you. So I can't wait to hear your story as well. The legendary box to box midfielder over here. Now, before you get into your answer, I gotta ask, who's your goat?
Who is my GOAT? Man, I grew up on Ronaldinho. He is my all-time,
Oh
like,
my god, that I
always.
love him too. So good.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. He's honestly what made me want to watch soccer. I honestly never enjoyed watching soccer. I enjoyed playing it more. I'm one of those guys. And I'd say I'm still one of those guys where I enjoy playing it than watching it. So it is definitely fun to have a player like Ronaldinho to watch, because every time he's on the ball, God, you have no idea what he's gonna do.
Not gonna lie, guilty pleasure is watching Ronaldinho montages on YouTube in my spare time.
Oh man,
Of
TikTok.
course.
That's been my TikTok for the past little bit.
Right? Love it. So,
Uh,
I guess, is there any stories you have with, whether it be from your player journey, anything from maybe from abroad you would like to share, anything that stands out to you, or whether it be from coaching too?
think I think the biggest and like most impactful thing I experienced going to England was realizing how big of a joke Canada soccer is to the rest of the world. And when, we're talking about, oh yeah, this guy played D1 in the States, they're laughing at that. And I'm like, I didn't understand it at first at this meet and greet. And I'm like introducing myself, and they're just laughing at me. And they're like, oh, this guy can't keep up. And, it was such a different game. It's such a different passion of play there than it is here. And it took me a bit to adjust to their playing style, but once I got it, it was amazing. It really was. It came down to like your mentality, and how bad you wanted to prove that you can compete at the same level as these Europeans, because soccer for them is like second nature. Like house league teams there is probably equivalent to our rep teams here. Like it's insane, dude. And I think that was the most impactful thing I experienced. That wow, like my accomplishments in Canada don't mean anything to these guys, because they could come here and they could come and accomplish that like this, and that's literally how they made me feel. So I think from there it just became like a work ethic thing for me. You know, be the first on the field, be the last one to leave, train. My training schedule got so tight to the point where I was working out once a day. I was training once a day with only 1 day a week with a rest. And we'd play games. We'd have to go travel from different cities. And played against really really amazing players, whether I got to play or not. Stayed positive, learned the game, and try to understand it the most. The biggest thing there that I realized too is what we didn't do here much of was a lot of gameplay review. Back then, we didn't do much gameplay review in Canada. We're getting into it now slowly. I'm starting to incorporate that too with my teams. But just gameplay play review where the coach would just, nitpick every movement, every touch, every turn, and try to work on that. And that's where I first got introduced with body mechanics. I didn't even know what body mechanics was. Like their level of expertise was on another level there. And where, a coach is saying, okay, well, show me, how do you control the ball with your knee? I show him, oh, no, you're not doing it right. Even though it was a perfect touch. No, you're not doing it right, because it's not efficient enough. You're not doing it efficiently. So on top of it, it was, How efficient can we be? How fast can we be? And, is our body mechanics allowing us to be that efficient? If not, let's break it down and let's make you more efficient. It was like a science to them. And I think now I'm incorporating that into my training programs, my camps, my classes. Kids aren't understanding it yet. They're not seeing it. And it's so hard for me to explain it to them without having them actually go through it and realize, because here everybody's controlling the ball like this and it works. Everybody's doing this, but it works, you know. But I'm trying to show them, okay, this is more efficient, this is more effective, this is how you do it. This is body mechanics now. This is what I learned. Now, how do we incorporate that with you guys? It is hard. It's definitely, I'm trying to sell a dream to kids. And I definitely know I'm not attracting everyone. But the kids I do attract and the kids that I want to attract are kids that actually are passionate about either growing in soccer or just about being a better soccer player. I'm going to be honest, and you can leave this in the podcast too. I don't care for the parents that are forcing their kid to participate in my camp. I don't want them because they don't want to be there. I don't care for the kid that doesn't like to play sports, but mom and dad is just trying to get them more involved in stuff, because they're not going to fully benefit from what I'm teaching them. I want the kid that wakes up, breathes soccer, dreams about soccer, plays soccer at recess, goes out to lunch and practices, works out, uh, aspires to be something more than just himself. Because that's what I felt growing up. I want to be more than just Mohammed Syed, Mo Syed. I want to be an amazing soccer player. I want to be an amazing person. And now I want to be an amazing trainer. I want to give kids so much opportunity that any kid that's training under me, if you're telling me that at the minimum you're not getting a scholarship offer, then either I've done something wrong as a coach and I haven't connected with you all, or you just didn't want it enough.
You want that buy-in, right? Like having the individuals who are not only who are 100% bought in, but are coachable, and you're able to
Exactly.
mold them. That's the biggest thing. It's like having that
Exactly.
personality to take critiques and being able to apply them and be motivated. Because again, from what it sounds like, to take to the next level, sometimes you gotta build them, you gotta break them down, and then rebuild them back up to what they need to be.
100%. And a lot of athletes don't see that, they're like, oh, because when I first started my ball mastery clinic, I went back to Timbits level soccer training, toe taps, bells, and all these different movements. And they're like, why? Well, what are we doing this for? Kids are like rolling their eyes. Why do I have to do this? I'm like, just wait. There's a method to my madness. I'm going around. I'm like, okay, well, you're doing bells wrong. You're doing toe taps wrong. This is how you should do it. And it is a process. It's just 100%. The kids, the parents, everybody needs to buy in, not financially, because trust me when I say I am the cheapest trainer probably in Ontario right now that offers this level of training, this level of support from myself, Ollie, my two brothers that are both League One players, and university players, and my team around me. Like, I'm the cheapest, so it's not a financial strain for them. Even in fact, I do most of my camps were free back in the day, you know. Even now, my Christmas break camp, I was talking to Ollie, I'm going to be hosting a Christmas break camp, and it's almost going to be pretty much like almost free, it's going to cost kids maybe $50 for a week of training with me. And tell me another coach that is actually passionate about the game that's willing to do that. Tell me another trainer that's passionate about the game that actually wants their kids to get better. Well, that will actually do that.
I love that you say that, Mo, because I actually started coaching goalkeepers who reached out to me who wanted coaching for me. I've been doing it for free all summer. I've been coaching every Sunday. Just been going to 3 or 4 keepers, just going over the fundamentals, getting over all that stuff. And I do it just for the love of the game to help make them better. And then seeing them how they perform, it's truly rewarding. And I love to hear that because, again, it's about giving back. Not everything's about money in the end of the day.
No, no, not at all. For me, it was soccer gave so much to me. It made me the man I am today. And what I want, what I wanted to see out of the soccer community, that support, that those pathways is now what I'm trying to incorporate into it. You know, for me, the money, it's a bonus. Yeah, it's nice to have. But for me, a kid that says, you know what, in 5 years, Coach Mo, you're the reason I made it to where I am today. Oh, that's worth millions for me. That's priceless.
Mhm.
I resonate with that, and I love that. Well, we're almost running out of time here, guys. We're actually just at time. However, I had two quick fire questions for you. So first is for Ollie.
Okay.
So give some context for both of you. I'm actually doing a series on my channel where I'm going from a goalkeeper. I'm going out now. Basically, I take a team that almost folded. It's 120 years old, 1909. This team was established. United Weston FC here. They almost folded. I'm basically managing the team now. I'm resurrecting them to go through the divisions here in Manitoba Major Soccer League. And I'm doing a vlog series where I'm helping get this team back up to where they need to be. Because they were national champions at one point back in the 20s and even played Tottenham back in 1950s here. So one of the aspects I want to ask you, Ollie,
Mhm.
okay, I'll be honest. When I was playing, I had no training on touch. I was all about saving free kick shots. Nothing like that.
Okay.
What is one freestyling trick that I can do first to get into like baby bannering with the ball or just get into freestyling in general?
Well, I mean, I can give you an answer that I feel like people aren't gonna like this answer. I would say juggles, right? Because that is probably like it's the most basic in everyone's eyes when it comes to that like ball mastery, but it is so essential for that improvement of your precision. So if I were to add on to my answer, I think that those juggles in where you're using all of the parts of your feet, all of the parts of your body, that's extremely important to me. If you'd like, I mean, I can send you some patterns, or we could do a video on some patterns of juggling that you could post for these people, right? I think that's important. I can list some off right now. When you're juggling, a lot of people refer it to kind of just the laces, the area, but I often tell these guys to mix it up. If your juggling record is 100 or something like that, that means you can do 10 in the first try. It's easy, right? But why not change it up? Why not make it harder for yourself as opposed to just going for 200? Why don't you start using the outside of your foot? Why don't you start using the inside of your foot? Why don't you start juggling with like your legitimate toes, like the end of your feet? Why don't you start using your shins, your heels, your calf, your shin, your knee, anything like that? Anywhere on your body, try to get records with those parts, because you'll notice that it's way more difficult. But the more work you put into that, the more control you feel with the ball in general. That's going to help your confidence, your precision, your determination, your focus, and everything under the sun.
Okay, I love that. And Mo, I was going to ask for your opinion too, just being a general practice player. If you're okay with it for both of you, I would love for you to give me like a challenge, like a skill to practice. I'll then do I'll record myself. I'll practice this, and then I'll kind of do like status reports to you, saying where's my start, here is my progression, here's where my result is, and then when I get to
Wow.
that step, then we go to the next one.
Mo, do you have a suggestion?
If we're keeping it juggling related, I think first thing I would say consistently do would be the Super Seven. Remember that one? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is. What is that?
So you can do it in variations. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to go one with your right foot, one with your left foot, one with your right knee, one with your left knee, shoulder, shoulder, head. So that's 7 touches. Okay. So you can go up the right side, down the left. You can go from the bottom up. You can go from the top down. You can go up the left side. There's so many variations. I'd say if you can master that, then I think Ollie can give you a more advanced one from that.
Okay,
Yeah.
first off, never heard of that. So thanks for teaching me that. Okay, legs, knees, no problem. I can do that. Here, head at the same time. I'm gonna have to work on that.
That's why I actually want to give you something that involves the upper body. And that's going to be my challenge. So, I don't know if you've ever tried the neck stall, which is basically where it's balancing on there. You see all the players do it, right?
Yeah.
Where it's balancing and cradled in your neck. My challenge to you is to work on that, get really good with that. But I want to see if you can do something called an around the moon, which is where it's on your neck and you skim the ball just like you would with an around the world and go around the ball with your head, catch it back on your neck. I can I can definitely send you some videos or whatnot, or you can overlay them on this podcast if you'd like. But yeah, I think around the moon is a very, very fun one to try with coordination of your upper body.
All right, that will wrap the podcast here today. I want to thank you, Mo and Ollie, for joining us here today, sharing your stories, showing your expertise just on your journey through football and the work you're doing today, laying the groundwork for our generations of soccer players coming up, whether it be through freestyle or through the regular game of football here. Now, before we end the podcast here today, do you gentlemen want to shout out anything you got going on in terms of business or anything personal you got going on?
Yeah, definitely. So stay tuned. We're gonna be doing a lot of camps in the upcoming year. Um, we're gonna have March break camps, summer camps, pretty much all summer long. We're gonna do our best to kind of uh, get out to different areas within Ontario. Um, and we got some events on the horizon as well, some really cool tournaments where you can actually win some cash that are going to be on the horizon soon. But other than that, just give me a like and follow me and date with whatever we got going on, because there's going to be lots of stuff in the works.
Awesome. Great to hear. I can't wait for that. And again, if you want to come to Manitoba, I'll hook you up.
I was okay.
Yeah, I will just say that I'm very, very excited for the work that I'm going to do with Mo, because we are going to bring an excellent opportunity for you guys out there to learn in a different way. We're going to bring some freestyle into it. We're going to bring some mindset training into it. There are a lot of aspects that you'll get from us that is very difficult to get from your average program. So definitely stay tuned. Follow both of our Instagrams if you want to stay updated and subscribed to that and the knowledge that you can build from that. And just a little hint or a little teaser, I do have next year, early 2025, I do have a way in where you can learn all of these freestyle tricks and really develop your game in the means of mindset, physicality, flow, and artistry with the ball from your own home. And that is coming very, very soon. February next year. So stay tuned, follow me. I won't get into any more details until it gets closer, but I'm very excited to see the interest. So make sure you follow both me and Mo. I really appreciate you guys for listening today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And again, be sure to make sure you follow both their Instagrams. Make sure to follow them all social media. And again, stay tuned for the exciting announcements coming forward, because again, I'm definitely going to be stay tuned for that announcement because I can't wait to learn from both of you.
Thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on. It was great.
No problem. We'll see you in the next episode, guys. Peace.